Hi, I'm Rusty here with Speedo. I'm here to show you how to do a gauge face install on a Dodge Charger or a Magnum. We're going to take you step by step and show you how to take your gauges from boring to cool. You're going to take your keys, turn your car on, not start it, just turn it on, and then turn it back off, let your needles cycle. Then you're going to take your directions that we've given you. There's a diagram of the cluster on the back. You're going to take a pen or a pencil or whatever, and you're going to take where all your needle sets are. You're going to mark them on the diagram shown, or given, I'm sorry. Mark where all your needle sets are. Then you start taking the car apart after that, which basically on this car here, the only thing you need is a Phillips bit to take it apart. And you start by taking your kick plate down, and there's 3 screws, one here, 2 on one side, and then one down here that you have to take apart. Now that those are out, it'll make this bezel become free. Pull your ignition stop out. There's just pop clips around the dash. You pull that out. And in our step-by-step directions, it'll show you how to do everything. You pull the red tab back, pull out. Make sure your tilt's down. And then this just rolls out and pulls out. Once that's out, it's going to expose the cluster, and there's 4 screws in the cluster, 2 on each side, and some people might need to unscrew this right here, the tilt stop, to give you a little bit more help or a little bit more easy access to it. And those once again are done with a Phillips bit. And simply take the cluster once it's loose, tilt it forward, tilt the bottom half forward, push the back in. If you have your leftover screws, it's easy time to get them out here without losing them. And then there's plugs in the back of the cluster. Once you get the cluster out, you put it on a flat surface, and at this step here, you'll need a T15 bit to take about 12 screws out of the back of the cluster to get the lens off. And now, with our tool that we provided you to take the needles off, take that, slide it under the needle, and gently pull up. The needle comes off. Once your needles are off, you take the gauge face, pull it off, take your new one by Speedo, peel the tabs off, peel the adhesive back off on there. And simply slide it over. Put it right back over top where the old one was and your new one's installed. Now you get the gauge face back on. The cluster, you're going to take the cluster back to the car with the lens off and the needles out. Plug the cluster back in. You're going to set the cluster in, plug it back in with your keys off. Leave the keys out of the ignition or leave them off. You're going to take your diagram that we gave you with your needle sets on there and put each needle back to where they were with the key off. If you have a problem with one of the needles, you set it wrong, just simply take the cluster back out again, pull the needles back off, and start the process all over again. Now the needles are set, take our keys, turn it forward and see if everything goes back to where it was when you originally started. As you can see, our needles are on where they were. Turn the car back off, take the cluster back out, take it back to your table, install your lens, and then come back and put the car back together. We took our ordinary boring one to something fun and exciting. Now let's put it back in. Once you get the cluster back in, put your body plates back on, put the screws back in them, and everything snaps back together. Once you get everything back together, give her a start, take a look at her, and now you went from boring to fun. And that's Gauges brought to you by US Speedo.